Coming up on the April 17th edition of Sports Extra, we talk more about the effects of the repeal of controversial HB2 in North Carolina that left both sides looking for answers.
The baseball team made a loud statement this weekend.
But big wins were hard to come by for the lacrosse teams as they were orange crushed. All that and so much more. Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
It's time for your weekly reminder. Carolina is still the national champion. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Caleb Waters.
And I'm Rivers Upchurch. The Heels are still the champs, and the North Carolina legislature is still creating controversy. HB 142 is the replacement for HB 2, meeting the requirements that the NCAA laid down for our state to be able to host championship events. Sports fans are happy, but politicians on both sides of the aisle are not. 14 days ago, the North Carolina basketball team won its 6th national championship. But for the first time in 60 years, the Tar Heels' path to the championship did not go through their home state. And the reason UNC fans didn't get to see a tournament game in their own backyard? Bathrooms. Carolina fans like senior Austin Raines were disappointed when the NCAA stripped North Carolina's ability to host games over the bathroom bill HB2.
Kind of irritated. I know Greensboro lost so much money just from not having any games played there from the ACC tournament. I know for the NBA, going to the NBA, I know whenever they said we're not going to have our All-Star game in Charlotte, I was actually planning on going to that game.
And Raines had been going to games all season long, a top 40 member of Carolina Fever, but he didn't get to relive one of his favorite memories, watching UNC play in the NCAA tournament. Last month, the General Assembly passed House Bill 142 to repeal HB2 under pressure from the NCAA. But some, like UNC College Republicans Chair Will Ryerson, don't approve of the new law.
So the NCAA definitely tried to act as a lobbying organization, and you can easily say that they tried to blackmail North Carolina.
But it's not just conservatives who aren't happy with HB 142. Julie Eiselt, a Democrat on the Charlotte City Council which created the ordinance that sparked HB 2, says the compromise on HB 142 was only for the sake of saving basketball in North Carolina.
Other cities, well, really, Greensboro, Raleigh, probably, and the business community all over was saying, hang on now. Now we lost basketball, and we're a basketball state.
Though politicians may not like HB 142, sports fans like Raines are happy to have tournament basketball back in the Tar Heel state.
As far as the sports goes, I think it was the right move because now it's going to bring those sports right back in.
Tournament basketball is back in North Carolina, and for sports fans, that's something worth celebrating. HB 142 isn't the only bill in the General Assembly that's causing a stir. For that, we bring in analyst Lindsay Sparrow to break it all down. Lindsay, what is going on in Raleigh?
Thanks, Rivers. Well, the General Assembly introduced HB 728 this past week. The bill would withdraw all UNC system schools from their respective conferences should those conferences boycott events in the state, as the ACC did in response to HB 2. The ACC has since returned to the state, and the NCAA recently announced that it would, quote, reluctantly allow the state to host championships in the future despite criticism about the HB 142 compromise. But if another boycott begins, the bill proposes that charter members North Carolina and NC State be removed from the Atlantic Coast Conference, both very important members. Each school would have to pay a withdrawal fee of about $90 million, which is 3 times the ACC's annual operating budget. The conference still hasn't commented. Now, the legislators will have to face a difficult task in working around an ACC media deal that runs until 2036. And because of that, this bill will be pretty difficult to pass. And this bill would have no effect on North Carolina's private schools such as good old Duke and Wake Forest. And I think we can all agree that an ACC with Duke, but without Carolina and State, would be a monumental change. Rivers?
It's analyst Lindsay Sparrow in studio. Thanks, Lindsay.
Moving on to action on the field, the scorching hot Diamond Heels were riding a 9-game winning streak when they welcomed in NC State this weekend for a 3-game set at the Bosch. In Game 1, junior ace J.B. Bukowskis took a no-hitter into the 6th. That is until this RBI single put the Pack in front 1-0. But in the bottom of the frame, Kyle Datcher says, "I got your no-hitter right here." sending this 2-run shot over the wall to put the Heels up 1. Then in the 8th, Cody Roberts slams a 2-run homer with a delicious bat flip of his own to put the game out of reach. Carolina 7, State 2. Now, it was a defensive struggle for most of Game 2 as Gianluca Delatri carried a 1-1 tie into the bottom of the 6th. But then, with a runner on second, Carolina's Brandon Riley broke the deadlock with this triple into right off of State's Brian Brown, scoring Kyle Datris. And then, with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th, shortstop Logan Warmoth plates 2 more with his RBI single into center. Carolina takes a W and clinches the series 7-1. And in the 3rd game of the series, the Diamond Heels were playing catch-up early. State's Brock Deathridge homered off this pitch in the 3rd and built a 4-0 lead. The Heels finally got on the board with a single from Brian Miller, bringing 2 Heels home. Then the plot thickens. A controversial call at first cost Carolina an out. Fans were hot, and so was Coach Mike Fox. He was eventually ejected, and the Heels fell to the Wolfpack 4-2. So the Diamond Heels couldn't quite finish the job on Sunday, but they're still one of the hottest teams in the country. We bring in multi-sport analyst Paul Beam, and he's here to tell us why they've been so good. So Paul, what exactly is the difference between last year's squad and this year's team?
That's a great question, Caleb. The key ingredient to Carolina.
Sorry, some audio-video communication errors there, but we move on. The streaking softball team hosted Boston College this weekend, looking for its 5th series win in the conference. Brittany Pickett was a force in Game 1, racking up 9 Ks and allowing just 1 run while going the distance against the Eagles. Katie Bailiff helped pace the offense with the RBI double right there, driving in one of Carolina's 7 runs scored on the day. And despite a couple of errors in the 7th, the Heels held on to take Game 1, 7-4. Pickett continued her dominance in Game 2, and she had some help. Check out the snag here from center fielder Destiny DeBerry. She wound up striking out 6 batters in another complete game. The only runs of the game came on this RBI double from Caitlin Shiflett, bringing home DeBerry and Taylor Wyke and giving Carolina the 2-0 victory. This was Pickett's 4th complete game shutout of the year, and Carolina clinches its 5th ACC series win of the season. And on Sunday, Carolina went hunting for the series sweep on Senior Day, and the bomb by who else? Brittany Pickett ties the game at 2 in the 4th, and the very next inning, Kendra Lynch helped the Heels take the lead for good with this 2-run shot to right. Her ACC leading 17th homer of the season, sparking a 6-run inning for the Heels. Pickett finished the game in the circle, shutting the Eagles down over the last 4 innings and securing the 8-3 victory, keeping the Heels in 2nd place in the ACC. The team is enjoying one of its best seasons ever, and as she did this weekend, freshman pitcher Brittany Pickett is leading the way. Daniel Walenzik has the story.
Adjusting to the college level can prove to be tough for many players, and freshman pitcher Brittany Pickett was no exception.
Having the struggle that I had at the beginning, it was just kind of nerves, I think, too, coming in, and I was like really not knowing what to expect.
However, her slow start did not last long. Through hard work, Pickett has begun to hit her stride.
In Brittany's case, it's just learning to expand the zone and then getting more comfortable in tight situations, with runners on or late game situations. And that just comes with experience and being able to have the opportunity to do that.
All of that work has led to a 20-2 record and an outstanding 1.99 ERA. And perhaps the biggest fan of her success is senior pitcher Kendra Lynch. After pitching almost every inning last season, she has a much different role this season.
It's nice having other people that can help me kind of divvy up the innings, especially Brittany, who's taking a good load of them.
But Pickett's best quality, according to Lynch, is her consistency.
She goes out there with a purpose to get the job done, and she does it really well. So I think she's only going to grow and continue to get better.
Pickett and Lynch share more than their great pitching. They also serve as 2 of the team's top hitters.
Brittany as a DP and Kendra pitching, or Kendra as the DP with Brittany pitching, and since they're 2 of our best hitters, it allows us to keep them in the lineup.
As the team's top 2 in both home runs and RBIs, their versatility is a key factor for the team. In Chapel Hill, I'm Daniel Willenzik reporting.
The Heels now have a 35-11 record on the season, including a 13-5 mark in the ACC. They return to action Wednesday at home against Winthrop.
First-year athletes like Brittany Pickett have plenty more time here at UNC, but a familiar Carolina face is soon leaving Chapel Hill. Junior forward Justin Jackson has declared for the NBA draft, and he will sign with a professional representative. The 2017 ACC Player of the Year set a Carolina single-season record with 105 three-pointers in the championship season, scoring better than 18 points per game, grabbing 4.7 boards per game, and finishing second on the team in assists. Jackson also averaged 19.5 points per game in UNC's 6 NCAA tournament games. According to Bleacher Report, Jackson is projected to be the 15th pick of the NBA draft to the Chicago Bulls. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there another pretty good player from Carolina who went on to star with the Bulls? Something about ceiling, roof, GOAT? Now it's Justin's world, and we're all just living in it. J-Jax can add another ring to his collection because the man is now engaged. Sorry, ladies, but shortly after declaring for the draft, Jackson proposed to his girlfriend, Brooke Copeland, a basketball player at the University of Florida, and she said yes. That guy just keeps on winning.
When Sports Extra returns, orange, you sad.
You might not be, but the lacrosse teams sure were this weekend.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
You know, Caleb, I gotta say, I'm sick and tired of seeing Chapel Hill covered in all this yellow pollen.
Well, Rivers, if you had just gone to Fetzer Field this weekend, you could have gotten away from all that yellow because Syracuse painted the place orange. The Senior Day smiles quickly fell as the Orange scored 4 unanswered early in the game. The Heels fought back with shots like these from number 7 Ella Hazar, but it just wasn't enough. Lapses led to early, easy scores against the Tar Heels, and that's all she wrote. Despite a late rally, the Heels lose 13-11.
Later that day, the men's team also played top-ranked Syracuse in a dramatic affair. Alumni weekend, Senior Day, the last scheduled game to be played on Fetzer Field before workers tear it up next month. Despite a great performance from Luke Goldstock, who had a hat trick and 3 assists, and goalkeeper Brian Balcom making 11 key saves like that one, and a 4-goal lead by Carolina midway through the fourth quarter. The Heels fell to Syracuse in overtime, 12-11. That dropped their record to 6-6 on the season. What a heartbreaker. So a brutal weekend for both lacrosse teams leaves them looking to bounce back this weekend. Joining us live from Fetzer Field is Brett Thompson to tell us what lies ahead for the Tar Heels. Brett?
Well, Rivers, there's a storm brewing out here at Fetzer Field right now, which is kind of the best way to describe what Syracuse did to North Carolina this weekend. They stormed on them. Look, it's obviously a major disappointment that the Tar Heels, both defending national champions, lost to Syracuse in a doubleheader. But they have got to regain their focus and look ahead because they've got a pair of tough conference road games coming up. Now we'll start with the women's team. They're higher ranked, so ladies first. They traveled to unranked Duke this Saturday, and a defensive-minded Duke at that. This is a Blue Devils team that puts defense first, allowing less than 11 goals per game, And the player that the Tar Heels will have to key in on Saturday's game is junior midfielder Maddie Crutchfield, who leads the Blue Devils in scoring with 30 goals on the season. Now, on the surface, looks like a tough game. Rivalry, road, coming off a loss, but hear me out on this. I think this is a chance for the women to get right against the Blue Devils. Duke is in the cellar of the ACC. They're at the bottom of the standings. Carolina's taken 3 out of the last 4 against the Blue Devils. And from a pride perspective for this team, you cannot go from winning every ACC game for almost 2 years to dropping 2 straight, let alone to a rival. You can't let it happen, not against Duke. For the men, though, it's going to be a lot tougher against Notre Dame on the road in South Bend. Now, why is it important? Well, it's got ACC tournament implications, which in turn gives NCAA tournament implications, because that might be the only way the Tar Heels get into the big dance. Let's take a quick look at the standings so you can see what I'm talking about. The Tar Heels and the Irish are tied for the 3rd spot in the conference, with the top 4 teams earning bids to the ACC tournament. Now, Virginia, they're gone, out of here. Winless in conference play, their conference season is over. But the next game for Carolina will be the difference between a rematch against the number 1 team, Syracuse, and a rivalry showdown against Duke. Worth noting, those are both teams Carolina Blue leads against earlier this season. Now, this is a Notre Dame team that can put points on the board quickly. The Irish score 11 goals per game. That's good for 25th in the country. And the man leading that offense will be senior midfielder Sergio Perkovic, who has scored a team-high 19 goals this season. Now, last year, Perkovic scored 4 goals against the Heels at Kenan Stadium, but was held scoreless when the teams faced off in the NCAA tournament. Now, I cannot stress how big of a game this is for North Carolina, not just because of the standings, but for their confidence. They haven't beaten a tough team in a while. This would certainly be a major boost for Carolina. And you know what? Notre Dame, is tough. They've got a great offense that can take advantage of UNC's shoddy defense. Sorry, guys, you kind of earned that reputation the way you've been playing the past few weeks. But it's also a Notre Dame team that's looking for revenge after last year. In the season finale here at North Carolina, the Tar Heels knocked off Notre Dame in a shocking comeback at Kenan Stadium. I think we all remember Luke Goldstock going off in that game. And then in the NCAA tournament, North Carolina ended the Fighting Irish's season and advancing all the way to the national title game, which we already know they won. Well, Rivers, back to you.
That is lacrosse expert Brett Thompson live at Fetzer Field. Thanks, Brett.
Justin Anderson had big plans after joining the UNC lacrosse team, but before he came to Carolina, he took a 2-year break to follow a calling. Emily Wakeman has more.
Justin Anderson signed to play lacrosse at Carolina his sophomore year in high school, but his signature came with one requirement. Coach Bresci would have to wait until Anderson completed a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
For Coach Bresci, it was very kind of him to allow me to do that, but I just feel very blessed that he let me do that, and now I'm here.
Anderson grew up in the Mormon church, and with 5 older brothers who had all served 2-year missions for the church, he had always felt it was his calling. Anderson was assigned to Chile. His typical day started at 5:30 in the morning with exercises and scriptures, and he would spend the rest of the day looking for people to teach. Anderson said it was the hardest thing he had ever done.
You would go out at 3:30 in the afternoon and not come home till 9:30, 10 o'clock. And if nobody wanted to listen to you, you'd be out in the street all day long. It didn't matter if it was raining, if it was snowing.
The job left little time for lacrosse.
So I brought 1 lacrosse stick with me with 4 lacrosse balls. That was it. So if I lost those lacrosse balls, I was in trouble.
He said taking time off was physically good for his body, but after 2 years, he was ready to get back to the sport he loved. Anderson said he immediately started training when he got home from Chile.
I was so excited when I was able to get back here and on campus with the guys who had just won the national championship, and that really energized me to lift up my game.
With 10 goals and 3 assists this season, he's done produced should continue to pay dividends for the Heels. In Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Wakeman reporting.
Anderson joined a local Mormon church and attends every week, of course, when his lacrosse schedule doesn't interfere. Now, Rivers, I don't want to insult your intelligence. I know you're about to graduate from UNC, so you're a smart guy. But do you know how to spell dominance?
I tell you, like my man PFT commenter, I'm more about telling than spelling.
Okay.
But this season at Carolina, you could spell dominance Tennis. Both squads could compete for national titles.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
You know, some days you're just really feeling it. You know you're on. And for UNC men's tennis, Jack Murray went 5 sets but came out the victor with a final scoreline of 7-5, 6-4, 4-6, 6-7, 7-6. Other days, not so much. Now, a Sports Extra's exclusive interview with UNC basketball legend, Mikel Jordan.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna switch it up. Talk, buddy.
Hey, don't take it personal. Come on, just focus up. We'll get them next week.
Focus.
We'll be all right.
All right, we'll come back in 5, 4,
Ready?
3.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
The women's tennis team traveled to Louisville on Thursday and put together another commanding performance. UNC swept all singles matches, starting with Cassandra Vasquez's 6-love win against Louisville's Jessie Paul. Couldn't even make it on the board, huh, Jessie? Number 2, Haley Carter dominated her opponent, and the final score was 7-love Carolina, the Heels' 3rd straight sweep. And on Sunday, Carolina made quick work of another ACC opponent for shutout number 4. They shut out Wake Forest 7-zip. Haley Carter was down early in her match, but won the tiebreaker in the first set and held on for a straight sets victory. That's career win number 160, leaving her one shy of tying Duke's Vanessa Webb for most singles victories in ACC history.
Recently, Boston College has been one of the worst athletic programs in the ACC. Just last year, they went completely winless in football and in basketball. So when UNC hosted Boston College on Friday, they were expecting win number 20 on the season. The Heels claimed the doubles victory with dominating wins on court 1 and 2, getting the crowd into it. And then, when singles began, Carolina continued its strong performance, jumping out to early leads and cruising from there. William Bloomberg took care of business on court 2 in a fast 41 minutes. The day ended with a 7-0 Carolina victory. And the team celebrated Senior Day on Sunday with a 6-1 victory against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. The Heels got the doubles point with wins on courts 1 and 3, and again it was freshman William Bloomberg picking up a quick singles match win on court 2, improving to 10-0 this spring in ACC singles play. With the win, UNC finished the regular season undefeated at home and with a record of 66-2 at the Cone-Kinfield Tennis Center in the past 4 years.
Women's golf hit the road to PISC, Pawleys Island, South Carolina, for the ACC Championship this weekend. And the Heels started off strong, finishing Friday tied for second with Clemson and Florida State. Lexi Harkins and Bryn Walker led the team and both shot 1 under par. But Saturday, well, that was a different story. UNC had 5 bogeys on the first 3 holes and only 1 birdie. Carolina fell to 4th, and oh no, yep, she's going to tap this in for the win. Rival Duke takes home the ACC title. Now, what do you get when you mix light blue with dark blue?
Well, there's a rivalry for sure.
But what else?
But also compassion.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Rivers, I'm going to let you in on a little hardly known secret here. Make sure no one else is listening. Carolina and Duke aren't always competing.
You know, in fact, recently the two universities partnered up to support a nonprofit organization to show that we're all capable of acting compassionately in our day-to-day lives. Allie Yates reports.
UNC alumnus Sarah Shire founded the nonprofit organization Compassionate to help create a more compassionate society.
A big part of Compassionate is not just teaching people how to be compassionate, but understanding that everyone deserves compassion.
Everyone, including your rivals. The organization is using what is arguably the biggest rivalry in college sports to spread its message, using Carolina and Duke Blue wristbands to motivate students to act compassionately.
If I'm a Tar Heel, I put on my wristband with the Duke Blue side out, and when I compassion it, I'm rewarded by getting to flip it to the Carolina Blue side. Enemies or rivals can still treat each other with respect and compassion.
Former rower Maggie Barra assisted Shire in localizing this global campaign by arranging for Duke and UNC athletes to visit Durham Academy to talk about compassion.
That was really, really rewarding just to see them come together, especially some of them being like Duke fans and some of them being UNC fans.
Barra was also responsible for working with Duke to post videos of athletes giving Compassion-It tips of the day. She said she got involved after falling in love with the campaign's mission.
And it just is a daily reminder that everyone is a human being that goes through some kind of struggle that you can connect with or you can empathize with.
Shire says compassion is even more important in the society we live in today.
Look at any of the headlines, what's happening politically and globally. Compassion is something we need.
If UNC and Duke can be compassionate, so can you. In Chapel Hill, I'm Allie Yates, reporting.
We are compassionate.
Now you can learn more online. Compassionate has posted tips of the day from Duke and UNC student athletes. Rivers, I'm sure you got something to say about this. Duke and UNC coming together?
You know, I traveled to Durham last week for a trip to the Shooter's Bar. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Drake would have been proud of me because I was on my worst behavior. I would say less compassionate and more petty. I was out on the dance floor doing this move. The Beyonce single ladies put a ring on it because the Carolina basketball team put a ring on it.
Classic move.
Absolutely, one of my best. That does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.